Hey everyone, my name is Luka and you're watching my first year on T. So this week our topic is misgendering. Personally, I don't get misgendered a lot anymore. When I was a kid, everybody used to think that I was a boy, and I guess they weren't wrong, but my mom always corrected them because in her mind, they were misgendering me, and she thought that it would bother me, and she thought that it would be a big deal to me in the future and that I would take offense to it. But actually, it made me feel great, and I loved it. And every time it happened, I'd turn to her with a big grin, and she would always be mad. Getting misgendered was one of the things that really pushed me into accepting my identity. I wouldn't call it misgendering technically because people were referring to me as male and I was still identifying as female, so I don't know. Maybe it's misgendering, but I just think that they were right and I was not there yet. We were at Red Robin having dinner one time and the waiter referred to me as a guy in some way, called me dude or bro, or I don't know what he said, but he referred to me as a guy. When he left, I turned to my mom and I was like, he thought I was a dude. And she was like, yeah, I saw that. And she got this attitude, and I don't know why. And I had never really snapped before, but I snapped. And I was like, I don't understand why you get so upset every single time somebody calls me a guy. Like, I like being called a guy. I don't see what the big deal is and blah, blah, blah. And it just turned into this tangent. And that was one of the biggest things that kind of pushed me towards realizing that something was wrong in my identity. So fast forward, I got into the workplace and I had to be on the phone a lot. And of course, everybody called me ma'am. And I was identifying as a woman at the time. So it wasn't, a wrong thing, but I hated it. I wasn't comfortable. I went to high school, finished it, came out, and then I started working over the winter at a store in the mall. It was interesting because my coworkers, she was 15, and, first job ever, super hoity-toity girly girl kind of thing, and she purposely misgendered me all the time, and even when my managers corrected her, she still misgendered me, and yeah, she was the only person I ever had a problem with at that job. And one of the other coworkers, he is very nice, always a really sweet guy. He just didn't really understand, so he would bounce between pronouns a lot, and I didn't really mind not correcting him because I knew he wasn't doing it maliciously. I just don't think he understood. So I wasn't really bothered by that. I think misgendering, it bothers me when I know that people are purposely doing it. But usually I look pretty androgynous, and so I understand. It doesn't make me feel good to be misgendered, but I understand, and I'm not mad at people, strangers that I come into contact with that see me and assume that I'm a female, just because I was, and I am very androgynous, and my features don't really... It can go either way pretty easily, and I don't think that I should blame other people for not really knowing. That's not fair. I mean, it's not fair to be misgendered either, but in where we are right now, a lot of us in our early transitions, it is really common to be misgendered, and it's not going to last forever. The longer you're on hormones, if that's the route you choose to go, the less and less you'll probably get misgendered. I can only speak for myself and for trans men, not all trans men, but, more specifically trans men than non-binary people, because I don't know what it's like to be misgendered as a non-binary person, and I assume that it is a lot more common because people in today's society just don't have it incorporated into their language that they, them are pronouns that you should be using for people. So as a general rule of thumb, when I meet somebody new, especially if I'm not sure what they are identifying as, I just prefer to use they, them pronouns. And even if I do know, I still prefer to use they, them pronouns because it's neutral. Unless they are another trans person and I know, when somebody else refers to you as the proper gender and they might be the only one, I know how big of a deal that is, and I like to do that for people. But when it comes to everybody else, for the most part, I just use gender neutral pronouns, and I think it works pretty well. After I started hormones in January, I stopped getting misgendered a lot more. The longer I've been on hormones, the less it happens. And so I haven't been in a work environment since because I hadn't legally changed my name and gender marker, but I just got that done. So now I can actually enter the work environment as Luka and be stealth, which I'm not sure if I could pass as stealth, but it is something I'm thinking of trying. And I can enter into the work environment and nobody has to know that I was ever female. Not that they wouldn't find out or that I wouldn't tell them, but it's not an immediate reaction when people meet me. They're not immediately thinking that I'm a female or that I'm trans. They're just seeing a guy, and I like that. Anyway, as far as misgendering goes, I don't experience it much anymore. The longer I'm on hormones, the less it happens, and even when it does happen, I kind of just ignore it because I know that I am male, and I can understand why other people don't see that sometimes, and I'm not going to let that be the whole ruining cause of my day. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Yeah, I've had days where just one person misgenders me and my whole day is ruined, but I try my best not to let that affect me as much. It's not possible to completely eradicate being affected by being misgendered, but I try my best I can just for my own mental health. Thank you for watching, and if nobody's reminded you recently, you're worthy and you deserve good. Bye. Somebody's coming down the stairs, a loud ass shit.